Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dhanvat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Hari Bol to His Grace Pandit Shivas Prabhu, Pawan Prabhuji and Ritesh Prabhuji for leading the chanting this morning. Hari Hari. Okay, we'll continue with our Mangalacharan prayers and then reading. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Anybody would like to try singing our prayer of the week? Okay, then I'll continue. So as a reminder again, we are currently singing the bhajans by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, glorifying Sri Shiksha Ashtakam, the 8 verses, Shiksha, the 8 verses of instruction given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only 8. So each one of these is so potent. We are currently in week 5, 5th verse. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budhav kripaya tava pada pankaja sitaduli sadrishim vichintaya. Which means, O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Okay, so this is Anadi Karama Phale by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur from Gitavali. Anadi Karama Phale Podi Bhavarnava Jale Tori Bare Na Dekhi Upaya E Vishaya Halahale Divani Shihiya Jwale Mana Kabhu Sukha Nahi Paya Asha Pasha Shata Shata Klesha Deya Virata Pravritti Urmirata Hi Khela Kama Krodha Adi Choya Bhat Pade Deya Bhoya Avasana Hoilo Ashi Bela Jnana Karma Thagadui More Pratariya Loi Avasheshe Phile Sindhu Jale Ehi no Samay Bandhu Tumi Krishna Kripa Sindhu Kripa Kori Tolo More Bale Patita Kinkore Dhori Pada Padma Dhuli Kori Deho Bhakti Vinode Ashroya Amitava Nityadasa Bhuliya Mayara Pasha Baddha Hoye Achidoya Moya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. शिला भक्तिवेदांत ठाकुर महाशय की जय, श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय, श्री गीतावली की जय, जगतगुरु शीला प्रभुपाद की जय जय जय. Okay, anybody would like to take up the service of reading the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I can read.
Hare Krishna, Minu Mataji. Yes, please, Mataji, go ahead.
Thank you. I have fallen into the ocean of material existence as a result of my selfish activities, which are without beginning, and I see no means of deliverance from this great ocean of nations. Day and night, my heart burns from the poison of these worldly activities, and on account of this, my mind never finds any satisfaction or happiness. Hundreds and thousands of desires, like nooses around my neck, constantly give me misery and trouble. In that great ocean of nations play the waves of materialistic tendency. In this world, there are many thieves and rogues, of whom six are prominent: lust, anger, greed, illusion, and madness. They're causing me great fear, and in this way, my life is coming to an end. The two highway robbers, mental speculation and fruitive activity, have cheated me and misled me. And finally, they are throwing me into the ocean of misery. At such a time as this, my dear Krishna, you are the only friend. You are the ocean of mercy and compassion. I have no strength to get out of this ocean of nations. So I pray to your lotus feet that you will be kind and by your strength uplift me from this ocean of suffering. Accept this fallen servant and fix me as a particle of dust on your lotus feet. Kindly give me shelter to this Bhakti Vinoda. O most merciful Lord, actually, I am your eternal servant, but having forgotten this, I have become bound up in the network of Maya. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Any reflections you want to share?
Um, yes, Prabhuji. Just talking about all of us fallen souls, we are really, fallen, but we don't realize that. And um, to realize that, I think we need to do the Harinam Sankirtan because that gives you patience. It brings you all your thoughts in one place and all the negative thoughts and converts them into the positive thoughts because you're sitting calm and that's what the mind actually needs. And for that, you just need Harinam Sankirtan, Prabhuji. That's all I have to say. Or I have a story from Ramayana I can share.
Yes, Hari Bol. Please go.
Sure, Mataji, Hari Bol.
So just from this, the part that he talked about the lust, anger, greed, illusion, and madness, the six are prominent. So when Rishi Vishwamitra came to visit Raja Dashrath, after all the boys have come home from graduation from Vashishta Muni's ashram and everybody, and learned their Dhanurvidya. And Rishi Vashisht comes and, Raja Dasha is very jubilant. At the same time, he's like, why he has come, right? There's the mental speculation also going on. And Rishi Vishwamitra sees that Raja Dashath has a little bit of concern in his mind too, even though he's very graciously and happily, receiving him. So he asked him two questions. The first question he asked that whether he has conquered all the enemies or all the enemies have been submissive to him. That is a question one. And second question he asked is whether he's been doing his duties towards God and the society. So typically you will answer the first question first. But the answer to question one lies in the answer to question two. So if you have been doing your duties toward God and society, towards God means that you have conquered your lust, anger, greed, illusion, and madness. And doing towards society that you have been fair to everyone, So if the answer to the question 2 is yes, then you know that you have won over your enemies, external enemies, all the other kings or anybody who has tried to hurt your citizens or your country, and the internal enemies. These are the 6 internal enemies: lust, anger, greed, illusion, and madness. So if D has if Raja Dasharatha has conquered and done his duty towards Lord, and Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma, if he has done that both as we talk about in Gita, then he has won both of the enemies. And have the enemies been submissive to him, winning over something, we always say that going to the top is easy, but staying on the top is the most difficult part. So have the enemies been submissive to him, that have these things, even though when he has conquered, have this remained submissive to him, like they have not tried to take over again. So that is the most important part. And Raja Dashrath, of course, the answer is yes to both of these questions. So just wanted to share that to conquer our enemies, we need to have our duties done right. Nishkam Seva towards our Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. So just connecting both Gita and Ramayana together. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Wonderful reflection. Very, very instructive, and something that we should do, like you said. So, reaching, that's what we say also in ISKCON, right? Coming in is very easy, and going out is even more easier. But staying is the most hardest part, right? So, so bhakti, when we come in, it is like we feel the difference. Oh, this is something wonderful, right? But after a while, it becomes it's like going in an elevator, right? So when you enter into the elevator, initially you feel, oh yes, it is moving. After a while, like if you have to go to the 100th floor, then you just start standing there. Like you'll not feel, is it really even moving? If you don't look at, of course, the sign indicator, then it just feels like you're just saying. But you are moving forward, right? So yes, but once we reach the top, or once we enter into the process, performing it consistently, I think is the most important. Then yes, we are able to reach or conquer these enemies. It is very subtle difference, right, between bhava and bhava. Like yesterday we were reading, if you have bhava, if you perform bhakti with bhav, right, हम बार बार मैं बोलता हूँ भाव की भक्ति है और कृपा का खेल है. If you perform bhakti with bhav, that is all the Lord needs from us. What else can we give him? He is Akhil Brahmand Jagat Pita Jagat Jagannath. He has everything. Everything belongs to him. What can we give him? The only thing that he's looking for is our bhav, our love and devotion. So if we perform with bhava, then we can conquer the bhava, which is all these 6 anarthas, which are like the ocean of material entanglement, right? So अगर ये भव को क्रॉस करना है, जैसे राम भगवान ने बताया हमें, right? He crossed over the ocean with what? Just with the holy name, right? His army just put the stones into the water, and with the power of the holy name, they were able to cross over the ocean. So yes, we can cross over these anarthas, these 6 enemies, with the bhava and the prema of our bhakti. And we can get that only when we remain steady and consistent in our service. It's not like आज किया, 2 दिन किया, फिर we भूल गए. Then again we did 3 days, and again we left for 7 days, right? That should not be the case. Whatever it is, like we say again, even joining this morning program, even if you're not able to do for 2 hours, we can at least start with 5 minutes. And 5 minutes we can do, even 5 minutes for a month, for 6 months, no matter, as long as we are staying consistent. And then slowly, when Krishna will see that consistency, Krishna will give the energy and the power to move forward. But yes, thank you so much for connecting that. So many thoughts are coming in my mind as you're speaking. But the main thing that I was connecting back is to Ramayana, the ocean that we can cross over as with the mercy of Lord Sri Ram. And that is what we were reading yesterday in chapter 2 of Krishna book. that the Lord's lotus feet are like a boat, right? And here also in this prayer, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that let me become a particle of your lotus feet. And yesterday the demigods who were offering prayers to Krishna, saying that your lotus feet is like a boat, right? So when the Lord and the pure devotees, they leave this world also physically, they leave behind the boat of the Lord's lotus feet. And actually I was meditating while I was doing japa this morning. I was just looking at the picture in front of me of the Lord, and if you actually just meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and you think like our feet, if you when the deities are here, so when I'm looking at the deities' lotus feet, it actually is like an ocean liner. If you look carefully, like how the shape of an ocean liner would be, like pointed at the front, and like the ocean liner ship kind of thing. So if you look at the boat, if you look at the lotus feet, meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, it's actually like a huge ocean liner ship. So, and all the pure devotees of the Lord are actually residing at the lotus feet of the Lord. That is why we say that if we do any anarthas, if we do any aparads towards the Vaishnavas who are actually seated at the lotus feet of the Lord, then that burns the feet of the Lord, right? And when it's very hot, we have given the analogy in the past also. Acharyas explained that when it's very hot outside, if you walk barefoot, you can take the heat on your head. Like it'll bother you to some extent, but it's okay. You can still manage. But if you're walking barefoot, in sand or on road, then that will hurt you really, 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 really strongly, really hard, right? You cannot walk barefoot if it's very sunny and hot. But if you don't have an umbrella, you can still walk outside, without the shade. So similarly, the Vaishnavas are seated at the lotus feet of the Lord. If you commit aparadhas towards them, then that pains the Lord very much, because that is lotus feet, and that lotus feet is like an ocean, like a boat. And if we sit on that boat and meditate on that boat, then we can cross over this ocean by the mercy of the Lord through His holy names. Okay, let's continue with that connection. It's the world of AI that we are living in. So it's always nice that AI is also coming to the point of making connections now. we are at work, we are doing some conference on AI, and it's all about connections. So it's good that we are connecting. AI is also learning from us. All right. Anybody else would like to read today? Okay, I will continue then. So, continuing on chapter 2, Krishna book. Our dear Lord, this is continuing of the prayers from demigods. Our dear Lord, the demigods continued, you have appeared in your original unalloyed form, the eternal form of goodness, for the welfare of all living entities within this material world. Taking advantage of your appearance, all of them can now very easily understand the nature and form of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who belong to the 4 divisions of the social order, the brahmacharis, the grihasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, can all take advantage of your appearance. Dear Lord, husband of the goddess of fortune, devotees who are dovetailed in your service do not fall down from their high position like the impersonalists. Being protected by you, the devotees are able to traverse over the heads of many of Maya's commanders-in-chief, who can always put stumbling blocks on the path of liberation. Dear Lord, you appear in your eternal transcendental form for the benefit of the living entities, so that they can see you face to face and offer their worshipful sacrifices by ritualistic performance of the Vedas, mystic meditation, and devotional service, as recommended in the scriptures. Dear Lord, if you did not appear in your eternal transcendental form, full of bliss and knowledge, a form which can eradicate all kinds of speculative ignorance about your position, then all the people would simply speculate about you according to their respective modes of material nature. The appearance of Krishna is the answer to all imaginative iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone imagines the form of Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his mode of material nature. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is the oldest person. Therefore, a section of religionists imagine that God must be very old, and therefore they depict a form of the Lord like a very old man. But in the same Brahma Samhita, that is contradicted. Although he is the oldest of all living entities, he has his eternal form as a fresh youth. The exact words used in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam are Vijnanam Ajnana Vidapamarjanam. Vijnanam means transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vijnanam is also experienced knowledge. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession, as Brahma presents the knowledge of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita. The Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam as realized by Brahma's transcendental experience, and in that way he presented the form and pastimes of Krishna in the transcendental abode. This knowledge is Ajnana Bheda Pamarjanam, that which can smash all kinds of speculation in ignorance. People are imagining the form of the Lord. Sometimes he has no form and sometimes he has form, according to their different imaginations. But the presentation of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, scientific, experienced knowledge given by Lord Brahma and accepted by Lord Chaitanya. There is no doubt about it. Krishna's form, Krishna's flute, Krishna's color, everything is reality. Here it is said that this Vijnanam is always defeating all kinds of speculative knowledge. Therefore, without your appearing as Krishna, as you are, neither Ajnana Bheda Pamarjanam, destruction of the science of speculative knowledge, nor Vijnanam would be realized. In other words, your appearance will vanquish the ignorance of speculative knowledge and establish the real experienced knowledge of authorities like Lord Brahma. Men, influenced by the three modes of material nature, imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. In this way, God is presented in various ways, but your appearance will establish what the real form of God is. The highest blunder committed by the impersonalists is to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts the form of matter in the mode of goodness. Actually, the form of Krishna or Narayana is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist, Sri Shankaracharya, has admitted Narayana Paro Vyaktat. The material creation is caused by Avyakta, impersonal manifestation of matter, or the non-phenomenal total reservoir of matter. But Krishna is transcendental to that material conception. That is expressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental goodness. He does not belong to the material mode of goodness, and he is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental, eternal status of bliss and knowledge. Dear Lord, when you appear in your different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you are all attractive. You are called Shyamasundara because of your transcendental beauty. Shyama means blackish, yet it is said that you are more beautiful than thousands of cupids. Kandarpakoti Kamaniya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to the blackish cloud, because you are the transcendental absolute, your beauty is many, many times more attractive than the delicate body of Cupid. Sometimes you are called Giridhari because you lifted the hill known as Govardhan. You are sometimes called Nandanandana or Vasudev or Devaki Nandana because you appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda or Vasudev or Devaki. Impersonalists think that your many names or forms are given according to a particular type of work and quality because they accept you from the position of a material observer. Our dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form and activities by mental speculation. One must engage himself in devotional service. Then one can understand your absolute nature and your transcendental form, name and qualities. Actually, only a person who has a little taste for the service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature or form and qualities. Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it is not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna cannot be understood by the non-devotees because there is a curtain of Yogamaya which covers Krishna's actual features. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, the Lord says, I am not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and everyone saw him. But not everyone could understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, everyone who died in his presence attained complete liberation from the material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world. O Lord, the impersonalists or non-devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his name and his actual form. In the material world, there is a difference between form and name. The mango fruit is different from the name of the mango. One cannot taste the mango fruit simply by chanting mango, mango, mango. But the devotee who knows that there is no difference between the name and the form of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and realizes that he is always in Krishna's company. For persons who are not very advanced in absolute knowledge of the Supreme, Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes. Such persons can simply think of the pastimes of the Lord and get full benefit. Since there is no difference between the transcendental name and form of the Lord, there is no difference between the transcendental pastimes and the form of the Lord. For those who are less intelligent, like women, laborers, or mercantile class, the great sage Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, Krishna is presented in his different activities. The Mahabharata is the history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees. The pure devotees who are always absorbed in the thought of the transcendental lotus feet of Krishna, and who are always engaged in devotional service and full Krishna consciousness, are never to be considered to be in the material world. Srila Rupa Goswami has explained that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness with body, mind, and activities are to be considered liberated even within this body. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord have already transcended the material position. Krishna appears in order to give a chance to both the devotees and the non-devotees for realization of the ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and worship him. Those who are not on that platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. Our dear Lord, O Supreme Controller, when you appear on the earth, all the demons like Kamsa and Jarasandha will be vanquished, and all good fortune will be ushered into the world. When you walk on the globe, your lotus feet will impress on the ground the marks of your souls, such as the flag, the trident, and the thunderbolt. Thus you will grace both the earth and us on the heavenly planets, who shall see those marks. Hare Krishna. That's hopefully the mark of the Lord's lotus feet, as the boat can always remain imprinted in all our hearts, and we can always meditate so many wonderful things. The demigods are praying to the Lord, and yes, we can see, of course, in Cincinnati, it is right now the winter never seems to go, looks like. So we always have these dark clouds over the last few days. Just looking at these clouds, we can remember the Lord, right? Shyam Sundar, as they were explaining, his eternal form as Shyam Sundar holding the flute in his hand. And when we look at dark clouds outside, just by looking at the clouds, we can remember the Lord, and his color. So yeah, so many things. The Lord is mentioned as the oldest person in Brahma Samhita and still the youngest. Right? He's the eternal. He never ages beyond 16, like we were saying the other day. And that's how the Lord's devotees are also like that. And so the Lord cannot go beyond 16, and the Lord's devotees also cannot go beyond 16. So that is sweet 16. But yeah, I was remembering one other nice story of that old man and the young kid. In one of the kathas I was hearing about how our senses need to be regulated, need to be controlled. So there was one funny story, funny or kind of instructive story about in one village there are some kids who see the saint. The saint has a very long white beard. Like as Brahmaji is explaining, that Lord is the oldest person. So this Mahatma, this sadhu, has a long beard and very like long hairs, white hairs and white beard. So every day he would go and take bath in the lake in the village, and when he comes out, the kids who are playing there nearby the village, they would ask him, "Oh sadhu, is this beard that you have, this long white beard you have, is this really your hair? Is this your beard, or is this a goat's hair?" It will look like goat, because when you take dip into the lake and when you bathe and then come out, the beard will become thin, right? Like because it's drenched in water, so it will look like a goat's hair, like a goat's beard. Right, so they will just tease, for the sake, because they're small kids, they will just tease him. "Oh sadhu, tell us, is this really your hair, is this beard, or is this goat's hair, goat's beard?" So anyway, sadhu will just smile at them and then walk away, so he will not answer them. So this thing happened almost every other day, week for months. Things will happen, and then after that, eventually, of course, the kids stopped asking him. But the sadhu will, every time they will ask him, he will just smile and he will walk away. So so like that, many months passed by, year passed by, and then eventually, after that, many years passed by, 35, 40 years passed by, and then when the sadhu was kind of on his deathbed, finally about to leave, at that time, he calls these kids, and of course now 40 years have passed, so these kids have now grown up, they have become young men or adults, and they have now little children, and so at that time he says, call all those kids, over there. So now they come in, so they're standing next to the sadhu, and then sadhu says, you remember growing up, you always used to ask me, you always used to make fun of me, and I would come out taking bath in the lake, whether this is my hair, whether this is the sadhu's hair, or this is goat's beard or sadhu's beard, right? So they were all astonished. They said, wow, yeah, they all tried to reflect back on that 40 years ago. Oh, yes, that. But, you never answered us. So what made you suddenly call us now and answer this? He said, yes, I want to answer that question now. And then he says that, when you were asking me that time, I wanted to answer you, but then I was always, in my back of mind, I was scared, I was afraid, because if I say that this is a sadhu's beard, and then something happens and I actually fall away from my path of bhakti, then that word would become false, right? So even though that was, so I wanted to say that, but I didn't say that at that time. But now that I'm on my deathbed and almost about to leave this planet, I can say with confidence now that yes, whatever I did for past 40 years, 50 years, now I can say confidently that yes, it was a sadhu's beard. It was not a goat's beard. So the point that he was trying to make is that, whether you are old or young doesn't matter. At any point we can actually fall down from this path. So again, where we started this morning's discussion, that our senses are so strong, and those anarthas are so strong in our heart, that even one sense, if it is not controlled, right, if an eye is not controlled, it can drag all the other senses, and if one nose is not controlled, it can drag all the other senses down the path of hell. So the point that sadhu was making is that till the last moment you cannot be sure whether you have really perfected or transcended the modes of material nature. But now, since he was on his deathbed, now he was saying at the last moment, now I know, I have full confidence that the Lord will give me shelter at his lotus feet. And the life that I've led for the last 40, 50 years, it was a sadhu's life, and this was sadhu's beard. It was not a goat's beard. So like that, Krishna can come as a very old man, Krishna can come as a very young boy, but yeah, depending on what we meditate on, the Lord has different forms. But yeah, just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can remember the Lord. And as we are doing this activity of remembering the Lord through the different aspects mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, as Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. So yeah, we can remember as the Lord as the life in all the living entities around us. And anybody wants to share any other thoughts, reflections on your remembrance of the Lord, or from what we read today? You have not heard from Krishna Mataji. You want to share something? You've been joining consistently every day. Anything that has touched you, anything that you liked from the reading? You're on mute if you're speaking. Or if you're not speaking, you can speak. Krishna Mataji? Okay. I may be putting people on spot. But anybody else would like to say anything? I was also thinking...
Prabhuji,
yes.
can I say something?
Yes,
I
Mataji.
actually appreciate everyone just kind of tying things together from Minu Mataji talking about the Ramayana and like tying it into what we're talking about, and just you trying to like remind us every day just to see Krishna and like the everyday. I think it's like you forget, but then like now I started looking at clouds and I'm like, oh yeah, this is Krishna. We talked about this, and I think the other day you were talking about trees and when they're clapping, they're moving. It's just like they're clapping for Krishna. So now when I drive, instead of just like driving because you're mundanely driving, if I see like trees moving, I'm like, okay, this is trees happy for Krishna. And the clouds, I love this weather. This is like cloudy, dark. It's my favorite. And now I could just say, you know what? It's because I'm thinking of Krishna. That's it. So thank you for reminding us always.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you so much for sharing that. See, Krishna has a way to speak to us. I actually, when you were talking, it just reminded me yesterday because when I was driving, exactly the same scene that you just painted right now was in front of my eyes. And as I was driving, and the trees, exactly like you just said, I was exactly remembering what you just mentioned, as the leaves were waving, and it was almost like they were waving, because there was dark cloud in the sky, and it was almost as if it's like Krishna talking to us. So yes, yeah, you can see the Lord in everything. And I was also thinking how we take things for granted here. So my wife's Meenakshi Mohini's sister, she works in Antarctica. She's from Australia. She lives in Australia, but right now she's on a trip to Antarctica for 1 year. So yesterday at my younger one's school, they had a session where she kind of came online and she presented her life in Antarctica, which is how things are, very cold and windy and dark, right? So now it's like winter season, so it's a whole, like she said, for 2 months it will be pitch dark. They will have no sunlight. There are no trees there, right? We take trees for granted here. There's just ice there, nothing else, right? So yeah, we take things so much for granted here. But yeah, she was mentioning that when I when I come back, I will be hugging a tree, that because there are no trees here. So yeah, Krishna is there in all the life. But yeah, Krishna also gives the energy and the remembrance that that Krishna is there in everything. And yeah, of course there are penguins and other wildlife there, but very limited. But yeah, I was just remembering that how we take things for granted so much in our day-to-day life, whereas people who are going and working there for a year, they are without their family, they are without so many basic things that we take for granted here. So yeah, when we see trees and we see we have at least nice pleasant air here, everything is Krishna's mercy, and we should remember the Lord just by meditating. Of course, when we are driving, we can't close our eyes, but we can at least chant one Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we can remember the Lord. And of course, when we are parked, then at that time we can remember the Lord's beautiful form, either his face with flute or his lotus feet. Thank you so much for sharing that. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you, all the devotees. If there's nothing else. Nalin Prabhu, you want to say something? Yes, I see you come up.
No, adding to that, like same thing happened during COVID also. Everyone is thinking oxygen is default granted, but after shortage of this oxygen cylinder, everyone understood like what is the importance of free oxygen from tree. So I'm relating to the story that you just shared in the Antarctica, like there was only ice, no tree.
Yes. Yeah, small things. Yeah, we have to just develop our, or kind of cleanse our consciousness, and then we'll see Krishna everywhere. And that is what our practice is. We are all on the path of practice, just by these simple things that we can remember the Lord as Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu, as the life of all the living entities, all life of everything that is living. Thank you, Nalin Prabhu. Okay, dear devotees, so we'll pause here. Thank you so much for your wonderful association every morning with Srila Prabhupada and with each other. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय जगद्गुरु
जय
श्री प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
श्री कृष्णा द सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉडहेड की जय निताई गौर
जय।
प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
हरि
बोल।
हरि
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.